welcome to You Got Moxie, the podcast about the how of change making. I'm your host, Julianne Crommett, and we're here live at the Georgia State of the Industry Summit at Trilith Studios. I'm joined by Lauren Schnipper, who is one of the original execs in the digital content and creator space. She was previously at Jelly Smack, Facebook, many other places, and was at the forefront of the YouTube creator economy. We're going to discuss all the changes happening in entertainment writ large, what folks can think about if they're filmmakers wanting to be more on digital platforms, and how community still sits at the center of it all.
This episode of You Got Moxie is powered by Chat with Leaders Media. From life sciences to entertainment, we turn leadership insights into high-impact media. We're proud to be the production partner for today's episode, recorded live from the Georgia State of the Industry at Trilith Studios. Find out how we can help you elevate your brand at chatwithleaders.com.
Well, welcome, Lauren, to You Got Moxie. We're so excited to have you here.
Gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, we're live here at Georgia State of the Industry. Literally a panel going on as we're talking.
Yep.
It's the best. And you have recently moved to Georgia, actually.
Yes.
You have this incredible career in what is affectionately known as the creator economy.
Yes.
But really in all different kinds of media. And you made the decision to relocate you and your life and your family here to Georgia.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about yourself, but also in the context of that decision?
Well, I mean, you know, I was in LA for 20 years, and it is in many ways just not what it was when I moved there. From a career standpoint, you know, my career really started taking off during the last writer's strike, which I only sort of really put two and two together based on the most recent writer's strike. That's literally how I ended up in digital. Basically, I was a stand-up comedian for a long time, realized I didn't like staying up late. And
were you a stand-up comedian?
I did it. I know. Wait.
God bless you.
Pause for laughter. But I realized like that job is a late night job, and I do not like staying up late. So I was like, I can't do this. And when I realized that was the last writer's strike.
Yes.
So, there were no jobs. There were no legit jobs to have. So what did I do? I fell into this sort of digital world and started producing web series, and then fell into YouTubers. And honestly, it was this happy accident, because had there been no strike, I totally would have tried to go the more traditional route. So I've been able to sort of grow a career really organically as being one of the first initially producers and managers of big talent. And then I led creator partnerships at Facebook and Instagram, all this sort of stuff in this one pocket of the industry that honestly is kind of growing versus contracting. And it's been an amazing journey. However, it's not impacted by like all the things going on in Hollywood.
Right.
One of the big differences between last strike and this strike, it was like the TV stars were making like funny videos on YouTube the whole time. This time, that wasn't really happening because there's more solidarity, because it's more of the same industry now. It's all one, creator industry is industry and all that sort of stuff. And so I've been working at several, I worked after Facebook, several startups, and layoffs and things just became common practice. And if there's one thing that's amazing about the creator economy is you can do it anywhere. And so I've spent a lot of time helping creators build up infrastructure and diversify revenue streams. And candidly, doing it in Los Angeles and California in general is just cost prohibitive.
Yep.
And so when I sort of realized, I could kind of do what I do anywhere, and then, life worked out and wanted to be closer to family, and from a personal level, raising kids in Los Angeles is a challenge.
Yeah.
And what I loved about, Atlanta, when we were sort of narrowing down places, is first of all, geographically, it's like an amazing place. You can get anywhere in the world. This airport, don't get me started. I could do a whole podcast on the MARTA and how easy it is to get to the airport. It's
we're going to bring you back for an episode literally on the Atlanta airport. I grew up here, so we can have a whole long conversation.
It's the greatest thing ever. And so, and there's a lot going, obviously we're at Trilith Studios. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's tons of production folks, and there's creators. And what I would love to do in many of the things I'm doing in work is I want to bring creators here to build up infrastructure. And here, I think that there's so much, you can pay somebody less than you can pay them in Los Angeles to do the same job. And you could have a life and a house and a family and a whole thing where you pay somebody more money in Los Angeles, and you can't buy, much less rent a home. And it's just becoming, and then, not to get too into the weeds about it, but it's just you pay so much, and, you don't really get much in return to live in the city of Los Angeles, see the fires. And so all of the things combined led me here, and I'm thrilled to be here. And, this event it sort of made the case for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, and it's amazing what you shared too about sort of all the pieces of the puzzle, right? This is, we sort of have a hat on a hat situation in great writing or comedy, right? Which is that we have so many things confluencing at once.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the questions become, okay, well, do I have to be in the same place? What does that even mean? Like, and also teams are working across,
Yes. Teams,
geographies.
and listen, I believe in person. I think, listen, if I want to work in a studio at like one of these big giant, media companies, do you kind of still need to be in New York or LA? Probably.
Yeah.
But I've had listen, I think that you still need to go to where the things are, especially early in your career. Now, the good news is I think here is a place where the things are. So I think this is an option. This is becoming an option for young folks. Like I think, as a working mother, working remotely, like I did a whole LinkedIn post on the other day. It's changed my life. Like I'm so lucky to becoming, having the prime of my career at a time when you can work from home. And I'm so grateful for that, but it doesn't mean that I don't think as a young person you need to get in the weeds. Like you talk to these kids these days and they're talking about work-life balance. I'm like, I was working 15 hours a day on set with big creators until in my mid-30s. Like I wasn't doing that. I was killing and I think you need to do things like that. You need to make things. You need to be around people that want to make things and do things.
Absolutely.
Again, the brilliant thing about being here is like there are people here doing that, and I'm so excited to sort of start to be a part of that.
100%. And iron sharpens iron. It's sort of, somebody else was asking me earlier today, why is something like State of the Industry so important?
Yeah.
And it's especially when things are changing so much.
Yeah.
This is a podcast about change making, right?
Yep.
Especially when things are changing so much.
Yep.
Community actually becomes so much more important.
So important. Yes.
And I'm thinking about even the journey of your career and working with creators. Actually community sits at the center of the whole thing, of actually the business model, of the creative, of everything. Can you espouse a little bit on how you've seen community also evolve over time and what that means for creators and sort of where you're seeing the future of that relationship?
Well, it's really interesting. I talked about it. I was on the panel earlier. I talked a little bit about this because what's amazing about creators is their ability to create community, to pump out content, to engage with that community. Right. What they're not as good at is sort of building IP or recognizing when they have built IP. What traditional media is really good at is building IP. And so I think a lot about the intersection and how you can bridge that sort of gap. What I think is amazing about creators is they're talking to their community, they're making the thing and they're asking for feedback, and it's this two-way conversation. With traditional media, it's really it's a one-way conversation. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't, right? But it's interesting because you're asking me how it's evolved. I think, back when I started, a creator was not it was a YouTuber. That's what it was, right? Yeah. And so now, of course, you've got all these other platforms, including a TikTok. And of course, there's exceptions to this rule, but there's a lot of the thing about TikTok is it's a user-generated experience in the sense where I, the viewer, am controlling my experience. Where when you're watching a YouTube video, the creator is more controlling the experience and having that dialogue with you. So there's not as deep of a connection being made on platforms like TikTok. And so an example I always use is a couple years ago at VidCon, there was a big creator meetup for a TikToker, and nobody was there. And so a fan is not all created equal on all these different platforms.
Yes.
And so it's just in terms of that's been a very interesting evolution, and I think it all still remains why YouTube has a really big opportunity to become again the place where creators start, because it's not creators start on TikTok and then they go to YouTube. YouTube still generates the most money for creators beyond any platform. And so if you want to have that real fan connection, if you want to really generate revenue on a platform, you got to go to YouTube.
100%. Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of the traditional players are now getting into the notion, I think almost smacked into it, that YouTube is the platform where the majority of the world is watching their content. I mean, outsizely, in a way that's not even arguable and hasn't been arguable for a while, actually. And I'm also thinking about sort of what's next. The topic for today, for State of the Industry, is really looking into the future. What's next for us, especially as we think about everything changing all at once. What are some of the predictions or sort of different trends you're seeing or things that you would want people to pay attention to?
Well, right now, I'm doing a lot of M&A advisory work. So you've got both creator companies that have sort of built infrastructure and they're big, but they're really reliant either on one sort of key man or sort of one type of content, and they want to acquire other channels. And then you've got traditional media companies that might even have a digital first presence, but it's mostly maybe repurposed TV content, but they don't have any digital first presence.
That's right.
And so they're also looking to acquire. There's a lot of traditional media companies right now, including, and then by the way, in private equity, that are all trying to buy into this ecosystem. And I think it's a really exciting time, but also there's not as many valuable potential assets as there are buyers.
Yes.
And so it's this amazing sort of we've democratized content, we're doing all this stuff, but it's like, it's still like top of funnel is what's making like all the money. And
That's
so
right.
there's a ton of like, not even mid-tail, but like tail, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so in weeding through that, so I think it's going to be very interesting to see some of these acquisitions happening over the next few years. I think you're going to see some overpaying for assets because there's so much competition for
100%.
it. Might be worth it for that media company because they have the capital to do it and they just need to get in the space.
That's right.
But it could also be detrimental to other folks that are trying to sort of buy in the space. So I think you're going to see a lot of that. I mean, the reckoning is here. Listen, connected TV is the fastest growing surface on YouTube. Like what's old is new again. We're just watching cable, guys. Like
100%.
This is literally what we're
100%.
This is literally what we're doing.
You heard it here on You Got Moxie. We're just watching cable again,
So
everybody.
it's all we're doing, right?
That's right.
And so I just think that, YouTube is going to start. I mean, they're already doing like, different UI experiences on YouTube on the connected TV app
That's
where you
right.
can where it looks like Netflix, like it looks like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's their shows piece, right?
Yeah. So like basically in the next couple of years, if that, like it's it's all one and the same.
That's right.
And so what does that all mean? I don't know. Like how is AI play into this? I don't know, man. Like I still believe that humans are, required to make really good content, but I think that there's a lot of efficiencies that we're going to be seeing in the next few years as it relates to how AI plays into content creation. We're already seeing that sort of stuff. So I've been thinking a lot about how like you'll see on LinkedIn people really flexing when they're doing posts that they like purposely say are like not AI generated, and they'll make them purposely like messy. You know what I mean? Like kind of just like grammar. It's like it's become like a flex. It's like there's a mistake in here, so it's not AI and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm just excited about what's happening. I'm always excited when I see people taking this industry more seriously. I've been doing this for 120 years. I mean, like people talk
You
about.
look great, by the way, for 120 years.
I'm great, dermatologist. But I, it's like people talk about, the creator economy is the wild, wild west. I'm like, dude, this is corporate America. You don't know. I mean, literally, when I started doing this 100 years ago, I mean, it was like, it was so. I can't even. I mean, the things I was shooting videos late at night for Shane Dawson, casting, picking up people on the street that he found on some I'm not kidding. Like that he found on some website because he thought they could be funny on a video, and like we would be going into studios, like we would get meetings to studios and to try because he wanted to be a filmmaker.
Right.
And people would be like, yeah, you're cute, whatever. Oh, by the way, can you sign this and take a picture for my kid? And I'm like, are you guys not seeing the disconnect? None of those people have jobs. All of those people have called me to like, how do I get in this space? Like, it's just like, anyway, it's exciting times.
No, it's really exciting times. No, and you're aging beautifully for being in this sector for so long.
Thank you so much.
Let's leave with one last piece of advice.
Sure.
If I'm a filmmaker, for example, I'm listening to this conversation right now between you and me, and I'm thinking about, okay, what can I do to build that relationship with an audience and community, because I can't trust the traditional ways of getting stuff made. What's the one piece of advice you have for somebody in that seat?
Make stuff and make stuff and make stuff. Just don't stop.
That's exactly
like it is a grind. I hate the word authentic. It's like become so meaningless because everybody uses it all the time. So it's like, to me, it's about organic connection with your audience. I like the word organic better. Like one of the most, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I'll relate it back. But one of the most amazing uses of like sort of, bridging the gap between traditional and sort of the digital industry recently was Dancing with the Stars did this episode all on TikTok. Now I have a lot of thoughts about TikTok in general, but it's the most organic connection. What is TikTok famous for? Dancing. Right? They had Charli D'Amelio in a couple years. They blew up. They're now getting, their numbers are blowing up. It's insane. It's become like cool again. And it's like, and listen, that doesn't come all the time, that sort of level of organic connection. But when you can find it, like, listen, I'm a big Summer I Turned Pretty fan, Team Conrad all the way. The other day, I see Hilton Hotels. Who was Hilton founded by? Conrad Hilton. They trusted some, I guarantee, young kid in their social media team said, we've always been Team Conrad. And they did a montage of all the hotels in their portfolio that are named Conrad. Those kind of moments are so brilliant. And so I think it's a combination of, if you're a young filmmaker, it's an amazing time because there's no barriers to entry. You have an amazing distribution platform. You've got a phone in your camera in your pocket, all the things. Make things all the time. Don't stop. And if you get something big, make it again. Make something else. Like just keep doing stuff. And then when you can find organic connections that are within the zeitgeist, jump onto that and exploit it.
100%. Great advice, Lauren. Thank you so much for joining us here at You Got Moxie. It's State of the Industry. You got to come back because we have to have an Atlanta airport episode.
I can't wait.
Oh my God, we can't wait to have you. Thanks again.
You.
Thanks again for joining us for You Got Moxie. Continue to follow us and listen to your favorite episodes at collectivemoxie.com. That's collectivemoxie.com. We're excited to see you next time. Take care.